Hello, my name is Tyson. I am a writer from Trinidad and Tobago, and I've always been interested in the American political system, from the founding fathers defecting from Britain to the political malfeasance we see occurring in the Democratic Party and the rhinos in the Republican Party. Now, in Trinidad and Tobago, there is no such thing as a right and left paradigm. Because of this, I have a very objective worldview, and I am not partial to the right or left. So I'm able to see things that people in the storm, so to speak, cannot see. So today I want to talk about an incident that took place at Charlie Kirk's culture war seminar he had at a university in America, where a group of guys called Groypers and America First, truly America First patriots, came up and asked him some very interesting questions. Some of them were very pertinent to the times, especially one regarding the coming demographic change in America. But one in particular was very spicy, and it was from a disciple of E. Michael Jones, where he asked something like, how does sodomy move the Conservative Party forward? And Charlie Kirk immediately handed it over to Rob Smith, who was a gay black man on stage with him. Now, I know Rob Smith from a Vice documentary he did where he was on a panel with liberals and conservatives, and they were asked varying questions about their affiliation with that party and how the other party views them. Now, I will say this, I thought Rob's response to the man's question was very poor. Instead of responding with grace and a level head, he replied with sass and finger wagging. Now, this man's question was in no way a troll. It was actually very pertinent, considering conservatism is rooted in biblical concepts as well as Western philosophies of logos, which would put a gay man at odds with the core tenets of that movement. So this brings us to the point of the video, which is the statement made by this man to Rob, and why I think the Groyper movement is naive, and that Charlie Kirk is a bought and paid for asset who has a particular task to serve with regard to the conservative movement and those in America who are disillusioned by liberalism. Now, I want to say this. I understand the white identity movement. I understand that in countries where your ancestors influenced the societies intellectually, you are told by the media, by academia, by Hollywood, and by all other manner of authority that if you are white, straight, and Christian, you are a threat to the society and the democracy. That to me is wrong. Now, the reason I think the Groypers are naive is because it is largely made up of those who believe in white identity, and they are very short-sighted if they think that movement will go mainstream or reach the amount of people that they think it would. This is due almost entirely because of shift in demographics and the fact that by the year 2040, based on census numbers, white people will be a minority in America. Now, I'm not saying this is absolute because I do believe there may be some propaganda involved with that number, which is why Donald Trump issued a new census. But for the sake of this video, we will use the official numbers. Now, for those of us who've been paying attention to the political game in America, it is very well known that minority groups, for the most part, vote for the Democratic Party and are in favor of hate speech laws in Western countries, despite hate speech being poorly defined. This means that if the conservative movement were to embrace the ideas of the Groypers, and even that of paleoconservatives, it would be unattractive to most undecided voters and minorities who are fed up of the left. This is due almost entirely to the fact that Groypers and paleoconservatives embrace European identity and biblical ideas relating to order with regard to sexuality, which excludes gays. Given the current social climate in the country, a movement made up of largely white people would be seen as contrary to the priorities of most minority groups who've been led to believe that the only people who can seek their interest are those who share their skin color. The political consultants of the right must take this into account while planning ahead, which is why many conservatives complain that President Trump is focusing too much on the minorities and not on white America. His consultants know that white people will largely remain loyal to the MAGA movement because they have no other choice. But minorities, namely Hispanics, must be slowly coaxed toward the right if conservatives are to win an election after Trump. Enter Charlie Kirk, a bought and paid for asset whose job is to create a conservative movement that is open and accepting to the defectors of the left and undecided voters. It cannot be too far right and must be similar enough to the plantation they left so they do not become uncomfortable with some of the ideas of the right. This is Charlie Kirk's purpose, which is why even though he claims to be against the identity politics of the left, they still embrace it at Turning Point USA. It is necessary at this time to play the same game and capture the demographics that would be the new voting base of the future. In my personal opinion, people like Kanye bolstering the platform of Candace Owens, despite her catchy progressive past, is good optics because it makes conservatism and divergent thinking popular to a generation that are bemused by celebrity and follow culture. In closing, Charlie Kirk, as a bought and paid for asset, is playing his part in this culture war for the long term. Nick Fuentes and The Groypers are a growing movement, that cannot be denied, but they are not what is necessary for the conservative base at this time. There is too much at stake, too much Marxists in media and academia who are salivating at every opportunity to label conservatism as a threat to the lives of minorities. Thank you for listening. My name is Tyson, and have a blessed day.